The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a deep hum. Tae-ho Kim stepped inside, his black diplomatic uniform looking plain next to the colorful robes and armor of the alien delegates. Behind him walked Hye-jin Lee, her military dress uniform crisp and neat. She carried a small briefcase and kept her eyes moving around the room. The chamber was huge. Curved walls rose up like a bowl, with seats arranged in circles going higher and higher. Each seat was built for different body types. Some were wide and low for the heavy rock creatures. Others were tall and narrow for the bird-like species. Crystal formations hung from the ceiling for the energy beings who did not need chairs at all. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats. They came from every corner of the galaxy, their voices mixed together in a sound like rushing water, speaking in dozens of languages. Translation devices made soft beeping sounds as they changed alien words into something everyone could understand. At the center of the room sat a raised platform. This was where speakers would stand to address the council. Above it, a massive screen showed the current agenda. Today's main topic glowed in bright letters: Human Mining Request, Veil Nebula Territory. Tae-ho found his assigned seat in the lower section. The human delegation had been given a small area, just 5 seats. Other major species had entire sections with 20 or 30 representatives. The message was clear. Humans were still new. Here, they were still small. Hye-jin sat behind Tae-ho in the observer section. She was not allowed to speak during the meeting, but she could watch and listen. Her job was to take notes and report back to Earth about what happened. She opened her briefcase and took out a small recording device. The chamber's lights dimmed. A deep gong sound filled the air. All the alien voices stopped talking at once. The meeting was about to begin. From the highest seat in the room, a large reptilian creature stood up. This was Velthara, the current council chairman. His scales were dark green with gold edges. 2 long horns curved back from his head. When he spoke, his voice was deep and commanding. "The council calls this session to order," Velthara announced. His words echoed through the chamber. "Today we discuss several trade agreements and territorial requests. First on our agenda is the human petition for mining rights in the Veil Nebula." A few aliens in the crowd made soft laughing sounds. Others whispered to each other. The Veil Nebula was known throughout the galaxy as a dangerous place. Electromagnetic storms raged there constantly. Most ships could not even enter the area without losing all their navigation systems. Velthara looked down at Tae-ho. "The human representative may present his case." Tae-ho stood up slowly. He walked to the center platform with calm, measured steps. Around him, hundreds of alien eyes watched his every movement. Some looked curious. Others looked amused. A few looked annoyed that their time was being wasted. "Honored delegates," Tae-ho began. His voice was quiet but clear. "I am Tae-ho, Kim, speaking for the human government. We come before you today to request formal mining rights in the Veil Nebula region." More soft laughter rippled through the chamber. An insect-like creature with multiple arms clicked his sharp mandibles together. This was Mordek from the Hivark Empire. His compound eyes reflected the chamber lights like tiny mirrors. "The human speaks of mining in the Veil Nebula," Mordek said, his voice making a buzzing sound. "Does he understand what he asks? That region has storms that destroy advanced navigation systems. Our best ships cannot enter those areas safely." From another section, a crystalline being began to glow brighter. This was Zephylos from the Prism Collective. When he spoke, his voice sounded like musical chimes. "Perhaps the humans do not understand the dangers," Zephylos said. "The electromagnetic interference in that region is beyond anything their primitive technology could handle. Their ships still use chemical rockets for some operations." The laughter grew louder. Velthara held up one clawed hand for silence, but he was smiling too. His sharp teeth glinted in the chamber lights. "Young Teho," Velthara said, using a tone like he was talking to a child. "The Veil Nebula has been considered off-limits. For over 2,000 years, even the most advanced civilizations avoid that region. What makes you think humans could succeed where others have failed?" Teho remained calm. He had expected this reaction. "We believe our different approach to technology might allow us to operate in conditions that challenge other species." This caused an eruption of laughter throughout the chamber. Aliens turned to each other, shaking their heads or making gestures of disbelief. The sound echoed off the curved walls like thunder. A delegate from the Saurian Empire stood up. His scales were bright red with black stripes. "Different approach?" he called out. "Humans have been in space for less than 200 years. We have been exploring the galaxy for millennia. What could you possibly know that we do not?" Hyejin shifted in her seat. Her hand moved toward her side, where a small weapon was hidden under her jacket. She did not like seeing Teho surrounded by hostile aliens, but she kept her expression neutral. This was all part of the plan. Teho waited for the laughter to die down. "We understand your concerns," he said. "We know we are newcomers to galactic politics. We have much to learn from your wisdom and experience." "At least the human shows proper respect," Velthara said. "But respect does not overcome the laws of physics. The Veil Nebula remains impossible to navigate safely. Even if we granted your request, you would lose any ships you sent there." "That is why we are asking for formal rights," Teho replied. "We believe we can develop new methods to work in that environment. If we succeed, it would benefit all species through trade and shared knowledge." Mordek clicked his mandibles again. "Shared knowledge? What could humans possibly teach us? Your fastest ships are slower than our cargo vessels. Your computers are less advanced than toys we give to our young." The chamber filled with agreement, sounds from dozens of different species. Chirps, growls, musical tones, and electronic beeps all mixed together. The message was clear. Humans were too primitive to be taken seriously. Velthara looked at his agenda display. "I think we have heard enough. The human request is clearly beyond their capabilities. We should move to the next item." But Teho raised his hand. "If I may, honored chairman, I have one more thing to say." Velthara sighed, a sound like steam escaping from a pipe. "Very well. One final statement. Then we move on." Teho nodded politely. Around him, the alien delegates settled back in their seats, expecting more humble words from the primitive human. They had no idea what was coming next. Teho cleared his throat and looked around the chamber. Every alien face was turned toward him, waiting to hear his final words. Most looked bored. Some seemed amused. A few appeared annoyed that this was taking so long. "Honored delegates," Teho said in his calm voice. "I understand your concerns about human capabilities. You are right that we are new to space travel. You are right that our technology seems primitive compared to yours. We have been traveling between stars for only a short time, while your civilizations have been doing this for thousands of years." Velthara nodded approvingly. At least the human was showing proper humility. That was how things should be. New species needed to learn their place in the galactic order. "We came to this council hoping to learn from your wisdom," Teho continued. "Humans believe in being good neighbors. We want to work together with all species for mutual benefit. We hope that through cooperation we can contribute something positive to the galactic community." The alien delegates began to relax. This was exactly what they expected to hear. Humble words from a primitive species asking for help and guidance. It was the natural order of things. Mordek leaned back in his specialized chair. His insect body made soft clicking sounds as he moved. "Finally, the humans speak sense," he said to the delegate sitting next to him. "Perhaps they can be taught proper behavior after all." From the crystal formation hanging above, Zephylos pulsed with soft light. His musical voice filled the chamber. "It is good to see humans accepting reality. Your species shows promise if you can learn to follow the guidance of your betters. A wave of soft laughter moved through the chamber. Delegates turned to each other, making satisfied gestures and sounds. The bird-like species ruffled their feathers in approval. The rock. Creatures made deep rumbling sounds that meant agreement. Velthara looked pleased. His golden scales caught the chamber lights as he prepared to speak. Your words show wisdom, young Teho. Perhaps there is hope for your species yet. However, wisdom means understanding your limitations. The Veil Nebula is beyond human reach. You should focus on learning basic space navigation before attempting such advanced operations. More laughter filled the air. A delegate from the Aquatic Union made bubbling sounds that translated as amusement. Perhaps humans could start by learning to build ships that do not explode when they launch, she said. This caused an explosion of laughter throughout the chamber. Aliens of all types joined in. Some slapped their appendages together. Others made honking sounds. The crystalline beings flashed bright colors. Even the usually serious rock creatures shook with deep chuckles. The laughter continued for almost a full minute. Teho stood quietly on the platform waiting for it to end. His expression never changed. He looked neither angry nor embarrassed. He simply waited. Hye-Jin watched from the observer section. Her jaw was tight, but she kept her face neutral. Inside her briefcase, recording devices captured every word and sound. Earth would want to know exactly how this meeting went. When the laughter finally died down, Velthara wiped moisture from his eyes. Forgive us, human representative. We do not mean to be cruel, but you must understand how your request sounds to us. Asking to mine the veil. Nebula is like asking to swim in the heart of a star. A delegate from the Energy Collective spoke up. His voice sounded like controlled lightning. Perhaps humans could begin with easier tasks, mining asteroids in safe systems, building simple trading posts, learning how to maintain life support for longer journeys. Yes, agreed a purple-furred creature from the Mammalian Federation. Start small, learn the basics. In a few hundred years, perhaps your technology will advance enough for more ambitious projects. Mordech clicked his mandibles in a pattern that meant deep amusement. Though I doubt human technology will ever advance enough for the Veil Nebula. Some things are simply beyond the reach of primitive species. The insult was clear, but it was delivered with the casual tone of someone stating an obvious fact. 2. These aliens' human limitations were not something to debate. They were simply natural law. Velthara looked at his agenda display again. I believe this discussion has reached its natural conclusion. The human request for Veil Nebula mining rights is clearly impossible. We should focus our time on more realistic proposals. He began to turn away from Teho, ready to move on to the next item. Other delegates started conversations with their neighbors. The human presentation was over. It had been mildly entertaining, but now they could get back to serious business. But Teho did not move from the platform. He stood exactly where he was, his hands clasped behind his back. His voice cut through the growing chatter. If I may, honored chairman, there is one more thing I need to say. Velthara paused. His head turned back toward the human with slight annoyance. What more is there to discuss? We have made our position clear. Yes, you have, Teho said. And I want to thank you for your honesty about human limitations. You are absolutely right about many things. We are newcomers to galactic politics. Our technology does seem primitive compared to yours. We have so much to learn from civilizations like yours. Some aliens nodded approvingly. At least the human was being reasonable about accepting his place. However, Teho continued, and something in his tone made a few delegates look up sharply. There is one small detail about our mining proposal that I should clarify. The chamber began to quiet down. Something about the human's voice had changed. It was still calm and polite, but there was a new note in it, something that made the more experienced diplomats pay attention. Hee-Jin sat up straighter in her chair. Her hand moved closer to her weapon, not because she expected trouble, but because she recognized the tone in Tae-ho's voice. It was the same tone he used just before delivering bad news to enemy commanders. "The detail is quite important," Tae-ho said, looking around the chamber with steady eyes. "So I want to make sure everyone understands clearly." Velthara's expression began to change from annoyance to puzzlement. "What detail?" "Speak plainly, human." Tae-ho nodded politely. "Of course, honored chairman. The detail is this. We are not asking for permission to start mining in the Veil Nebula." Silence fell over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Delegates who had been chatting stopped talking. Aliens who had been preparing to leave froze in their seats. Everyone stared at the human standing calmly on the platform. Velthara's golden scales seemed to lose some of their shine. "What did you say?" Tae-ho's voice remained perfectly calm and polite. "We are not asking for permission to begin mining operations in the Veil Nebula. We are asking for permission to formally register mining operations that are already taking place." The silence stretched on for several long seconds. Then, like a dam bursting, the chamber exploded into chaos. The chamber erupted like a volcano. Dozens of alien voices shouted at once in languages from across the galaxy. Translation devices overloaded and began making error sounds. Delegates jumped to their feet, waved appendages in the air, and demanded explanations. Velthara slammed his clawed fist on his podium so hard that cracks appeared in the metal surface. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. "Silence!" he roared. His voice was so loud that several smaller aliens covered their hearing organs. Slowly, the noise died down. But the air in the chamber felt electric with tension. Every alien eye was locked on Tae-ho, who stood calmly on the platform as if nothing unusual had happened. "Explain yourself, human," Velthara demanded. His voice was dangerous now, with none of the casual dismissal from before. "What did you mean by operations that are already taking place?" Tae-ho reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. "May I use the chamber's display system?" Velthara nodded sharply. His golden scales were darker now, almost black with anger. Tae-ho activated his device. The massive screen above the chamber lit up with an image that made every alien gasp. It showed the Veil Nebula from space, but something was different. Instead of the empty, storm-filled region they all knew, the screen showed dozens of human ships moving through the electromagnetic storms like they were sailing through calm water. Mordek's compound eyes went wide. His mandibles clicked rapidly, in a pattern that meant extreme shock. "Impossible," he whispered. The image zoomed in closer. Now they could see mining platforms floating in the nebula's most dangerous areas. Massive extraction ships pulled rare minerals from asteroid fields that should have been unreachable. Human workers in specialized suits moved around the platforms like the deadly radiation was nothing more than sunlight. "These images were taken last week," Tae-ho said in his calm voice. "Our mining operation in the Veil Nebula has been running continuously for 3 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Zephylos flickered rapidly, his crystalline structure flashing between different colors. "The storms would destroy any navigation system. How do your ships even know where they are going?" Tae-ho smiled for the first time during the entire meeting. "You are correct that the storms interfere with advanced electromagnetic navigation systems. Our ships use a different approach." The screen changed to show the inside of a human ship's bridge. The navigation equipment looked primitive compared to the sleek panels used by other species. Instead of holographic displays and quantum computers, human crews used simple screens and basic radar systems. "Chemical rockets and mechanical navigation," Tae-ho explained. "Technologies that do not depend on the electromagnetic spectrum." While your advanced systems are blinded by the storms, our primitive equipment works perfectly. A delegate from the Technological Republic stood up on shaking legs. But the radiation levels would kill any crew within hours. That was a challenge. Taeho agreed. We solved it by developing new shielding materials and rotating our crews frequently. Our medical teams also created treatments for radiation exposure that work quite well. The screen showed human workers moving efficiently around the mining platforms. They worked in teams, stayed for short periods, then rotated out. Medical stations provided treatment and monitoring. Everything was organized with military precision. Velthara's voice was barely controlled. How long has this been going on? As I mentioned, 3 years and 4 months. We began with small test operations to see if mining was possible. When those succeeded, we gradually expanded. Currently, we have 47 mining platforms operating in different parts of the nebula. The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. 47 platforms meant thousands of workers and hundreds of ships. It meant a massive operation that had been completely invisible to galactic intelligence networks. A delegate from the military, Alliance, spoke up. Her voice was sharp with suspicion. If you have been operating for over 3 years, why come to the council now? Taeho looked slightly embarrassed. Honestly, we only recently learned that we were supposed to register our operations with the council. Earth's diplomatic corps is still learning galactic law. When we discovered the proper procedures, we decided to follow them. Heejin had to bite her lip to keep from smiling. The truth was more complicated than that, but Taeho's explanation was technically accurate. Mordek leaned forward in his chair. What have you been doing with the materials you mine? Selling them mostly, Taeho replied. The Veil Nebula contains rare elements that are very valuable. We have been trading them through normal commercial channels. The chamber fell silent as delegates realized the implications. Rare materials that had suddenly appeared on galactic markets over the past few years, materials that traders claimed came from small human mining operations in safe systems, had actually come from the impossible Veil Nebula. Zephlos's light dimmed to almost nothing. The quantum crystals that appeared 2 years ago, the ones that revolutionized our energy storage systems, those came from you? Among other things, Taeho confirmed. We have been careful to introduce new materials slowly, so as not to disrupt existing markets. A delegate from the Economic Council made a choking sound. You have been controlling the supply of the most valuable materials in the galaxy, and no one knew where they really came from. We were not trying to control anything, Taeho said. We simply wanted to be good trading partners. Earth's economists advised us to introduce new materials gradually to avoid economic chaos. Velthara's claws scraped against his podium. Show us more. The screen changed again. Now it displayed shipping records, extraction reports, and profit statements. The numbers were staggering. Human operations in the Veil Nebula were producing more rare materials than the rest of the galaxy combined. But what shocked the aliens even more was the efficiency. Human operations used less energy, produced less waste, and required fewer resources than conventional mining. Their primitive technology was not just working in impossible conditions, it was working better than advanced alien technology in normal conditions. How? Velthara demanded. How is this possible? Taeho looked thoughtful. I think it comes down to different approaches to problem solving. Most galactic technology relies on highly advanced systems that work perfectly under normal conditions. Human technology is designed to work under terrible conditions. When we encounter new challenges, we adapt our existing tools rather than building completely new systems. The screen showed human engineers modifying equipment in real time, making changes and improvements on the spot. It showed crews working together to solve problems that would require weeks of planning for other species. Your equipment failures must be massive, said a delegate from the Precision Engineering Guild. Actually, our failure rates are quite low, Taeho replied. Simple systems are easier to repair and maintain. When something breaks, our crews can usually fix it quickly with basic tools. Mordek clicked his mandibles in a new pattern, one that meant deep thought rather than amusement. You have been operating in the most dangerous region of known space, using primitive technology, with better results than our most advanced operations achieve in safe areas. That appears to be accurate, Tejo said politely. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Every alien delegate was trying to process what they had just learned. The primitive humans had not just succeeded where advanced civilizations had failed. They had been succeeding for years while everyone else remained completely unaware. Velthara looked at Tejo with new eyes. The casual dismissal was gone, replaced by something that might have been respect or possibly fear. What else? He asked. Quietly, Tejo tilted his head. I am sorry, honored chairman. What else do you mean? What other operations are you running that we do not know about? Tejo looked genuinely surprised by the question. He glanced back at Heejin, who gave him a small nod. When he turned back to face the chamber, his expression was thoughtful. I am not sure I understand what you mean by other operations, he said carefully. We have many projects running throughout human space, but most are in areas that other species consider safe and normal. Velthara's eyes narrowed. Do not play games with us, human. You have just revealed that your species has been operating secretly in impossible conditions for years. What else have you been hiding? We have not been hiding anything, Tejo replied. All of our operations follow galactic law. We file proper reports and pay appropriate taxes. The only reason we came here today was to make sure our Veil Nebula operations were properly registered. Mordek leaned forward, his multiple arms gripping his chair. Show us your other mining operations. Tejo looked uncomfortable. Are you certain? Most of them would not be very interesting to this council. They are routine operations in normal space. Show us, Velthara commanded. Tejo activated his device again. The chamber screen changed to show a list of human mining operations. The list was longer than anyone expected, much longer. As you can see, we have operations in 47 different systems, Tejo said. Most are small asteroid mining projects or planetary extraction sites, nothing unusual. A delegate from the Survey Corps stood up shakily. 47 systems? Humans only control 12 star systems officially. That is correct for permanent colonies, Tejo agreed. But we have temporary operations in many other locations. Mobile mining platforms, research stations, things like that. Zephylos flickered rapidly. Show us the locations. The screen changed to display a galactic map. Red dots appeared to mark human operations. The dots spread across the galaxy like a plague, far beyond the small cluster of stars that everyone thought was human territory. Most of these are in international space, Tejo explained. Areas that do not belong to any particular species. We follow all the rules about operation, permits, and territorial boundaries. But as the delegates looked closer at the map, they began to notice something disturbing. Many of the red dots were in places that no one else operated, not because they were claimed by other species, but because they were considered too dangerous or too difficult to reach. A delegate from the Stellar Cartographers Guild pointed at the screen with a shaking appendage. That location. Show us that one. One of the red dots began blinking. Information appeared beside it, showing a human operation inside a neutron star's debris field. The radiation levels were marked as lethal to most known life forms. That is, Mining Station Terra 7, Tejo said. It extracts rare heavy elements from neutronium fragments, very valuable materials for advanced physics research. Neutronium is impossible to handle safely, the cartographer protested. Even our most advanced containment systems cannot deal with it. Human containment uses different principles, Tejo replied. We do not try to stop neutronium from being dangerous. We work around the danger instead. The screen showed human workers in massive protective suits using mechanical tools to manipulate neutronium fragments. Instead of trying to contain the Deadly radiation. They used it to power their extraction equipment. Show us another one, Velthara demanded. His voice was getting quieter, which somehow made it more frightening. Taeho selected a different red dot. This one showed a human operation inside the atmosphere of a gas giant. Floating platforms extracted rare gases while riding pressure waves that would crush most alien ships. Mining platform Terra 23, Taeho said. Gas extraction in high-pressure environments. The atmospheric conditions would destroy most ships, but we designed specialized platforms that use the pressure as structural support. Mordek's mandibles clicked in rapid patterns. Show us another. Another red dot revealed human operations on a planet where gravity was 8 times galactic standard. Human workers moved around in powered exoskeletons, extracting heavy metals that formed only under extreme gravitational pressure. Another, whispered a delegate from the Physics Institute. This time the screen showed humans working in a region of space where radiation from a nearby pulsar created conditions that fried electronic equipment within seconds. Human operations use mechanical systems and analog computers to extract exotic particles that formed in the radiation storm. How many of these impossible operations do you have? Velthara asked. Taeho consulted his device. 17 locations. That could be considered extremely hazardous by galactic standards, but we prefer to think of them as challenging rather than impossible. The chamber was so quiet that the hum of life support systems seemed loud. Delegates stared at the screen, trying to understand how humans could be operating successfully in places that would instantly kill most other species. The medical advances, said a delegate from the Health Council suddenly. The new radiation treatments, the gravity adaptation therapies, the pressure resistance drugs, they all came from your operations in these impossible places. Many of them, yes, Taeho confirmed. When you work in dangerous conditions, you develop better safety equipment and medical treatments. We have been happy to share these advances with other species through normal research channels. Hai-Jin stood up in the observer section. Velthara looked at her sharply. The human military observer wishes to speak? If I may, honored chairman, Hai-Jin said. I think there is some confusion about the scope of human operations. Ambassador Taeho is only discussing our mining activities. We have many other types of operations as well. The chamber fell into an even deeper silence. If human mining operations were this extensive, what about their other activities? Military operations? Velthara asked carefully. Research stations mostly, Hai-Jin replied. Though some have military applications, we have teams studying exotic, physics in black hole event horizons, biology research in the hearts of stars, engineering projects in dark matter streams. Each item on her list caused new gasps from the alien delegates. These were all locations that galactic science considered. Completely unreachable, dark matter streams? Zephylos flickered so rapidly he almost appeared to be strobing. Those exist outside normal space-time. Nothing can survive there. Our research suggests otherwise, Hai-Jin said calmly. Though the work is still experimental. Mordek made a sound like breaking glass. You have people working outside the normal universe? Small teams, Hai-Jin confirmed. The conditions are quite challenging, but the research potential is enormous. A delegate from the Theoretical Physics Consortium fell back into his chair. The new physics theories that have been emerging over the past 2 years, the papers on dark matter manipulation and extra-dimensional engineering, those came from actual experimental work? Human scientists prefer hands-on research when possible, Taeho said. We find that direct observation gives better results than theoretical modeling. Velthara looked around the chamber at his fellow delegates. Most were staring at the humans, with expressions of shock, fear, or disbelief. A few looked angry. Others seemed to be calculating the implications of what they had just learned. How long has this been going on? He asked quietly. Which operations specifically? Taeho replied. We have been expanding our activities steadily since we began space exploration. Most of our extreme environment research started about 5 years ago. 5 years, Velthara repeated. Your species has been operating throughout the galaxy for 5 years, in conditions we consider impossible, and no one noticed. We file all the proper reports, Tejo said, though I understand that many species do not read reports about operations in areas they consider unreachable. The truth of that statement hit the chamber like a physical blow. Human operations had been invisible not because they were secret, but because no one had bothered to pay attention to activities in places they thought were impossible to reach. What do you want? Velthara asked finally. Tejo looked puzzled. I am sorry, honored. Chairman, what do we want for what? From us, from this council, from the galaxy. You have revealed capabilities that surpass anything we thought possible. You clearly do not need our permission or our help. So what do you want? Tejo smiled again, the same gentle smile from before. The same thing we have always wanted, honored chairman. To be good neighbors, to trade fairly and share knowledge, to work together for mutual benefit. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the silence of shock or confusion. It was the silence of beings, trying to understand a completely new reality. Hyejin stepped forward from the observer section and walked to stand beside Tejo on the platform. Her military bearing was more obvious now, confident and precise. She carried herself like someone who had seen combat and won. If I may address the council, she said, looking directly at Velthara. I think there are some details that might help clarify the situation. Velthara nodded slowly. His golden scales had lost all their shine, appearing almost gray in the chamber lights. Speak, human military representative. My name is Hyejin Lee, Earth Defense Force, she said. I have been observing this meeting as part of a routine diplomatic mission. But given the questions being asked, I think additional information would be helpful. She activated her own device. The chamber screen changed to show a new display, one that made several aliens cry out in shock. It was a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, but unlike any map they had seen before. This one showed human activity as flowing lines of light, like blood vessels spreading through space. This is a real-time display of human operations throughout the galaxy, Hyejin explained. Red lines indicate shipping routes. Blue dots show research stations. Green areas mark mining operations. Yellow pulses represent communication networks. The map was incredible. Human activity touched every major region of the galaxy. Lines of light connected distant stars in patterns that followed no known trade routes. Dots appeared in places that most species had never even explored. Impossible, whispered a delegate from the Navigation Guild. Some of those routes pass through areas we have never successfully mapped. Human navigation uses different principles, Hyejin replied. We map as we go, rather than requiring complete surveys before we travel. Mordek leaned forward, his compound eyes reflecting the map's lights. How many ships do you have? Active vessels number approximately 12,000, Hyejin said casually, though about half of those are small research and mining craft. The number hit the chamber like an explosion. 12,000 ships meant that humans had one of the largest fleets in the galaxy, possibly the largest. Most species considered a few hundred ships to be a significant naval force. Where are they built? Asked a delegate from the Shipyard Workers Union. Various locations, Hyejin replied. We have construction facilities in 17 systems. Some are traditional orbital shipyards. Others are more specialized. The map zoomed in to show one of the construction facilities. It was built inside an asteroid field where radiation levels were so high that the rocks glowed with their own light. Human workers in heavily shielded suits assembled ships using materials that were naturally charged with exotic energy. You build ships in gamma radiation fields? Zephylos flickered rapidly. The radiation is useful for certain manufacturing processes, Hyejin explained. We have found that some materials only form properly under those conditions. Ships built there have better performance characteristics than conventional vessels. Another construction site appeared on the screen. This one was floating in the upper atmosphere of a gas giant, using atmospheric pressure to forge hull plates that were stronger than anything made in zero gravity. How long does it take to build a ship? Asked a delegate from the Industrial Federation. Depends on the type, Hyejin said. A standard cargo vessel takes about 6 weeks. Research ships take longer because they need specialized equipment. Military vessels are classified information. The casual mention of military vessels sent a chill through the chamber. If humans could build civilian ships in impossible conditions using unknown techniques, what could their military vessels do? Velthara found his voice. How many military vessels do you have? Hyejin smiled politely. I cannot discuss specific numbers, honored chairman, but I can say that Earth takes the defense of human space very seriously. Show us one, demanded a delegate from the War College. I am sorry, but military specifications are classified, Hyejin replied. I can show you some civilian vessels that might be interesting, though. The screen changed to show a human cargo ship flying through what appeared to be solid rock. Closer examination revealed that it was moving through a planet's crust, following underground caverns that connected to natural tunnel systems. Subterranean navigation, Hyejin explained. Very useful for avoiding traffic in busy systems, also excellent for emergency supply runs to colonies under siege. The implications were clear. Human ships could travel through routes that no other species could even detect, let alone use. They could appear anywhere without warning. What about defensive capabilities? Asked a general from the military alliance. Our ships are designed to operate in hostile environments, Hyejin said carefully. That includes both natural hazards and artificial threats, but we prefer to avoid conflicts when possible. The screen showed a human research vessel operating calmly while a massive space storm raged around it. Lightning that would destroy most ships simply passed through the vessel's specially designed hull without causing damage. Your ships are immune to energy weapons, the general pressed. Not immune, Hyejin corrected. But human engineering emphasizes redundancy and damage resistance. Our ships are designed to keep working even when partially destroyed. A new image appeared showing a human vessel that had clearly been hit by weapons fire. Large sections of the hull were missing, but the ship was still operational. Crews were making repairs in space while the vessel continued on its mission. How is that possible? Asked a delegate from the engineering corps. Distributed systems, Hyejin replied. Instead of having single critical components, we spread vital functions throughout the ship. Losing part of the vessel reduces capability, but does not cause total failure. Taeho stepped forward again. Perhaps we should return to the original topic. We came here to register our mining operations, not to discuss military capabilities. But Velthara was not ready to change subjects. How many humans are there? It seemed like a simple question, but Taeho hesitated before answering. Could you clarify what you mean by that question? Total human population. How many of your species exist? Taeho and Hyejin exchanged glances. Finally, Taeho spoke. Current population estimates are somewhat complicated. Do you want permanent residents of human space, citizens of Earth government, people of human genetic background? The definitions affect the numbers significantly. All of them, Velthara said firmly. Permanent residents of the 12 official human systems number approximately 8 billion, Taeho said. Citizens registered with Earth government are about 12 billion. People of human genetic background working throughout the galaxy are estimated at around 25 billion. The silence that followed was absolute. 25 billion humans scattered throughout the galaxy meant that humanity was not just operating in impossible places, they were doing it with a population larger than most galactic civilizations. Where are they all? Asked a delegate from the Population Census Bureau. Working, Jin said simply. Mining operations, research stations, exploration missions, trading posts, construction projects. Humans like to stay busy. The screen showed dozens of different human facilities throughout the galaxy. Each one employed hundreds or thousands of people. Research stations built inside stars, mining platforms in black hole accretion disks, trading posts in regions of space where time moved differently due to exotic physics. You have been hiding an empire, Velthara said quietly. We have not been hiding anything, Tejo protested. All of our operations are legal. We follow galactic law. We pay taxes where required. We submit reports through proper channels. But you never told anyone the full scope, Mordek said. Jin shrugged. No one ever asked. When human representatives attend council meetings, we are asked about our official colonies and territorial claims. No one asks about temporary operations or individual workers living in international space. The truth of that statement was undeniable. The Galactic Council had been so focused on traditional territorial boundaries that they had completely missed the human expansion into areas no one else could reach. What happens now? Asked a delegate from the Future Planning Committee. Tejo looked genuinely confused. Now we register our Veil Nebula mining operations with the proper authorities, and then we go home. Unless you have questions about our other paperwork? The simplicity of his answer was somehow more shocking than all the revelations that had come before. Humans had just revealed capabilities that changed everything everyone thought they knew about galactic civilization, and all they wanted was to fill out the proper forms and go home. You really just want to follow the rules? Velthara asked. Of course, Tejo replied. Rules exist for good reasons. They help everyone work together peacefully. Why would we not want to follow them? Velthara sat back in his chair, his clawed hands gripping the armrests so tightly that the metal groaned under the pressure. Around the chamber, hundreds of alien delegates stared at the two humans standing calmly on the platform. The silence stretched on for nearly a full minute. Finally, a delegate from the Economic Council found her voice. The materials you have been selling, the rare elements and exotic compounds. How much of the galactic market do you control? Tejo consulted his device. Our operations supply approximately 60% of rare heavy elements, 40% of exotic gases, and 70% of quantum crystals, though we try to keep prices stable to avoid market disruption. The numbers sent shockwaves through the chamber. Humans had not just been operating in impossible places, they had been quietly dominating the most valuable sectors of the galactic economy. You could crash our entire economic system, said a banker from the Galactic Credit Union. Why would we want to do that? Tejo asked, looking genuinely puzzled. Economic crashes hurt everyone. We prefer stable, profitable relationships with all our trading partners. Mordek leaned forward, his mandibles clicking in new patterns. What do you want from us now that we know the truth? The same thing we have always wanted, Tejo replied. Good relationships with our neighbors, fair trade agreements, peaceful cooperation. But you do not need us, protested a delegate from the technology exchange. Your capabilities exceed ours in every area we have discussed. Jin stepped forward. That is not entirely accurate. Human technology excels in extreme environments, but we have much to learn in other areas. Your species have developed arts, sciences, and cultural achievements that we find fascinating. She activated her device again. The screen showed human scientists working alongside alien researchers in joint projects, human engineers learning advanced mathematics from crystalline beings, human artists studying sculpture techniques from rock creatures. We have been participating in cultural exchange programs for 3 years, Jin explained. Human students attend universities throughout the galaxy. We host alien researchers at our facilities. These collaborations have been very valuable. You have alien civilians working in your impossible operations? Asked a delegate from the Safety Commission. With proper protection and training, yes, Hyojin confirmed. We have found that different species bring different perspectives to problem solving. Mixed teams often achieve better results than single-species groups. The screen showed a human research station where aliens worked alongside human crews. Everyone wore specialized protective equipment, but they moved with the confidence of experienced teams. How do you keep them safe? The safety delegate asked. Very carefully, Hyojin replied. We have developed life support systems for 47 different species. Our medical facilities can treat injuries and illnesses for any known biological type. Safety training is extensive and mandatory. Velthara found his voice again. You have been protecting alien civilians in environments that would kill them instantly without protection. Yes, Hyojin said simply. When someone volunteers to work in dangerous conditions to advance scientific knowledge, we take their safety very seriously. A delegate from the Workers' Rights Organization stood up shakily. The humans who work in these conditions, what are their casualty rates? Lower than galactic averages for normal space operations, Hyojin replied. Extreme environment work requires extensive safety protocols. We have learned that good preparation prevents most accidents. The admission hit the chamber hard. Human operations in impossible conditions were actually safer than alien operations in normal space. How? Asked the workers' rights delegate. Practice, Taeho said. When you know that even small mistakes can be fatal, you develop very good safety habits. When you know that rescue might be impossible, you make sure accidents do not happen in the first place. The screen showed human training facilities where workers practiced emergency procedures in simulated extreme conditions. Every possible failure was anticipated and planned for. Your people volunteer for this work? Asked a delegate from the Psychology Institute. Of course, Hyojin replied. No one is forced to work in dangerous conditions, but many humans find extreme challenges exciting. The pay is also quite good. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. What happens if someone threatens human operations? The chamber turned to see who had asked the question. It was a general from the warrior caste, a species known for their military expertise. Hyojin's expression became very serious. We prefer to avoid conflicts, but human operations are defended. How defended? The general pressed. Sufficiently, Hyojin replied. We have found that most threats can be deterred through negotiation and economic incentives. Violence is rarely necessary. But if it becomes necessary? Hyojin was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was calm but cold. Humans do not start fights, but we do finish them. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone remembered that humans had been operating in the most dangerous regions of space for years. If they could survive conditions that would kill other species instantly, what could they do to enemies who threatened them? Velthara cleared his throat. I believe this council needs time to process what we have learned today. The human request for mining registration is approved. We will also need to discuss updating our records for all human operations throughout the galaxy. Thank you, honored chairman, Taeho said, bowing politely. We appreciate the council's consideration. As the two humans prepared to leave the platform, delegates throughout the chamber began standing up. Some approached with eager expressions, clearly hoping to arrange new trade deals or research partnerships. Others looked worried, calculating how this new information would affect their own species' interests. Mordek reached the platform first. Ambassador Taeho, I would like to discuss possible joint mining operations. The Hyvark Empire has resources that might complement human capabilities. Before Taeho could answer, 3 more delegates arrived with similar requests. Soon, a crowd of aliens surrounded the human representatives, all talking at once about potential partnerships. Velthara watched from his elevated position as the humans calmly dealt with the sudden flood of attention. They listened politely to each proposal, asked intelligent questions, and made no commitments without careful consideration. Chairman Velthara, a voice said beside him. He turned to see Zephylos floating nearby, his crystalline structure pulsing with nervous energy. What is it, honored delegate? We have underestimated them completely, Zephylos said. Their capabilities exceed our understanding. Their population is larger than we knew. Their operations span the galaxy. And they have been doing all of this, while appearing to be harmless newcomers. Velthara nodded slowly. Yes. What if they decide they no longer need galactic civilization? What if they conclude that other species are holding them back? It was a frightening thought. Humans had already proven they could operate successfully in places no one else could reach. If they chose to abandon galactic society, there would be no way to stop them. I do not think that will happen, Velthara said finally. Why not? Velthara looked down at the crowd surrounding Teho and Hyejin. The humans were still listening patiently to proposals from alien delegates. They showed genuine interest in cooperation and partnership. Because they came here to fill out paperwork, he said. Species that want to dominate others do not worry about following proper procedures. On the platform below, Hyejin was quietly mentioning to Teho that their conversation had not covered human activities in the dark matter streams beyond the galactic rim. Teho nodded and reminded her that those operations were still classified at the highest levels. Neither of them noticed that Velthara's enhanced hearing had picked up their whispered exchange. The chairman sat back in his chair, wondering what other surprises humanity might have in store for the galaxy. Around the chamber, delegates continued making deals and planning partnerships with the species they had dismissed as primitive just hours before. The balance of galactic power had shifted completely, and everyone was scrambling to adjust to the new reality, but the humans just wanted to go home and get back to work.